City of Apache Junction meeting for June 20th. Wow. To order and have everyone put their phones on silence. The invocation will be led by, excuse me, Mr. Heck, and the pledge by Mr. Cross.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of being able to gather together freely and discuss the business of the city. We ask that you would give staff and council wisdom and clarity as we go about discussing the concerns and issues related to the operation of the city. We ask your blessing now upon all of our servicemen and women who serve this country around the globe. Keep them safe in a time of unrest all over. And also we ask especially for our first responders here, our police department and our fire department, Superstition Fire, and our first responders. They are so important and they're so valuable in this city, and we ask that you would keep them safe in all of their endeavors. And again, we thank you that we have the freedom to meet and to discuss issues, and we thank you for this time. In your name, amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Wilson,
I am here.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Present.
Councilmember Cross,
Here.
Councilmember Heck,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Nesser,
I'm here.
Councilmember Soller.
Present.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
As a reminder, all items in the consent agenda will be approved with one motion. If a council member wishes to remove an item for further discussion, the request must be made prior to the consent agenda and be moved to new business. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the consent agenda be accepted and approved as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Soller,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Cross,
Yes.
Councilmember Heck,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, no presentations and awards. Regional intergovernment updates. Anyone have anything over here? No? Anyone over here?
No, sir.
Okay, well, I got a brief one. I attended the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport board meeting today, and they're announcing that starting this month, they're going to be having some cargo services direct from Europe and Asia coming into our area. These will be deliveries designed to be given out, in the area. It's not to be going to another, and say another airport somewhere else in the nation. These are destined for the final destination is here at the airport. And it is the first ones that they've set up and have been successful at it. Also announced was Boyer is a major developer, and this is going to be in the northern eastern part of the airport. And it's called Gateway East area. They have a 40-year agreement to develop 273 acres. They're going to do it in 3 stages, 100 acres the first one, 100 acres the second one, and the final one will be 73 acres. They're working with the city of Mesa to bring in water and roads and, of course, electric as well. And it is something that they're really looking forward to. It's going to be a huge business park that will have hotels, office facilities, manufactured manufactured buildings, restaurants, retail facilities. And the first company that they're bringing in is, I'm going to call it Exerty. It's a Canadian company that's going to build a facilities over 274,000 square foot facilities that's going to be put in there. And it is something that the excitement of the additional facilities and working areas on the northeastern part of the airport is something that they're looking very highly to move. And as a personal note, I worked out at Williams Air Force Base before they closed it down. And I've been at several other Air Force bases throughout the nation that have been converted to civilian operation. And the facilities here marks the best one that has ever happened throughout the nation. Several other bases have been converted, and you got maybe one or two Cessnas flying in and out of it, but really nothing going on. But this one is moving forward, and the job opportunities that they have in the area are just really growing tremendously. So we're sitting on the board, and we're advising how things are going and helping them in moving forward. Okay. Now, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bryant Powell, City Manager. I'd like to start my report off tonight by sharing some exciting news from the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport Authority, in that this year, Mayor Wilson will be the chair of the authority. And, well, a little hand clap there. All clap. Big deal. We're with Gilbert, Gila River Indian Community, Queen Creek, and Mesa. This group of cities have come together to oversee the airport that's a rising star in the East Valley for employment. And we are so glad that you can be the chair, Mayor, and represent the group, and wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. Tonight, I'd like to also thank the council for your support in the Library Board of Trustees annual report. On your consent agenda, this is an annual item, and give some moment of pause. I would just like to recognize our employees at the library. They do an exceptional work. They're an exceptional staff. They give so much. The programming there is exceptional. If you do, it's about a 6-page report. It's in the packets. It's there for the public. But I do want to highlight them and recognize them. I want to read a portion of the message from our director, Pam Harrison. We'd like to thank the many members of this community who support our library and help us fulfill our mission, including all of our volunteers and hardworking friends of the library group, an enthusiastic community partnership, and generous donors. And from Andrew Carnegie, his statement about library is, a library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people. It's a never-failing spring in the desert. Inside that report, it highlights some return on investment of what the community saves in terms of dollars to be able to access employment, to be able to access the services that are needed for all of our residents. That's free. So thank you, Pam, to you and everyone in the library. I don't know if you stayed yet. Thank you for all you do. And we're looking for another great year. The strategic plans outlined in the report, and we have such a great community that's always supported our library. And then I would also like to invite up, as part of my report, Michael McCord, our county treasurer, who serves our county, and we on occasion like to bring some of our officials. We've had some questions, and so I'd like to turn it over to Michael. Michael, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Mayor, council members, good evening. Thanks for having me. This all stemmed from a conversation that Brian and I had that started with Supervisor Jeff Surdy. And so I just wanted to come kind of give you an overview of what the Treasurer's Office does, because a lot of people don't understand what the role of the Treasurer is. I have nothing to do with setting tax rates. I'm merely the guy, we're the bank. People often confuse that, so if there's anybody in the crowd that doesn't like your tax bill, I'm just here to collect. So the taxing authorities are the ones that oversee that. Apache Junction does not have a city property tax. So we don't collect that for you, the city, but we do collect for other entities within the city, obviously the fire districts, the school districts, other authorities. You do have a lighting district here that we do collect money for, which totals about $50,000 a year. But the real focus of the Treasurer's Office is, not, like I said, we're the bank for county and county entities within the county. Under that role, obviously tax collection is one of them. Then there's the tax lien sale process, that if you don't pay your taxes, that we would lien your property to be able to collect those taxes for those authorities so that budgets can be met. And then the third one is investment of proceeds collected during the tax collection process. That we collect in a very short period of time, from September to December. The money gets dispersed to those entities that we hold accounts for within the Treasurer's Office. So like the fire district here at Apache Junction, we hold their money during the course of a year and obviously disperse that out to them as they make payroll or as they buy things or have to pay bills. That gets dispersed out into their accounts. But the money as it sits with us, we do invest. I just wanted to share with you the total of that, because it is pretty astonishing where we're at as a county, because the county itself has $1 billion budget now. Our investment portfolio stands at $977,928,000 and some change, so pretty substantial. We have multiple brokers that we work with, but what we invest in is high-grade bonds, U.S. Treasuries, things that are secure in nature. So there's nothing speculative that we do. I know there are some states that allow a lot of speculative things by their treasurers. That, to me, would make me very uncomfortable. Everything we do is set and bound by statute. So the most we could go out in an investment is for 5 years on a bond. We can't go beyond that. So there's no risk to entities like what we witnessed a couple months ago with the banks, extending out for a 30-year period and then not getting the yield that they would want. So we go very short term. We were very proactive. We recognized that things were shifting drastically financially and went very short term with a lot of what we were doing, because we were getting better yield on the shorter end in the 3, 4, 5 month, 1 year range to protect the capital. The goal ultimately isn't to make money, it's to protect and hedge against inflation, which we've done very well over the last couple of years. So the county's in very good position. Just to inform you, that's where we're at. I also have my chief deputy with me, Kelly Monroe. So she's actually the brains behind the operation. I'm just here to, look good. So I guess I'll open it to any questions that you might have. But I think it's important that you know how the county is operating, at least as far as the Treasurer's Office goes.
Yep.
You got a question?
Thank you, Your Honor. What do you do with your 900 million surplus?
Mayor, council member, it gets invested into U.S. Treasuries, certain types of bonds.
Yeah, that part I understand.
Okay.
What is the need for having $900 million sitting in an account? Is that money actually being dispersed into the community, into the
Yes.
other cities?
Yeah, it goes in, it's apportioned to the entities as they take it out.
Okay.
So,
The way you presented it, it kind of almost sounded like you had, 900 million sitting in an account as surplus.
no. It's not surplus, because it's the money that
That you have collected from taxes.
that we've collected from taxes. That the taxing authorities, we'll use the fire department, for instance. It's money that they budgeted for, that we collected for them, that we're holding in their account with the Treasurer's Office.
So each year you're collecting roughly 900 million? Or how much do you collect in taxes on an annual basis?
Total taxes is over $1 billion.
Okay.
So we take it, the idea is, with the investments, is to hedge against inflation, right? Letting money sit in a bank account at less than 1% interest, sometimes 0.25% interest, you're losing value on your money. So our attempt is to preserve that money and not allow inflation to eat away at the taxing authorities' ability to purchase, their buying power. Did that answer your question?
Well, a lot of, so we bring in $1 billion roughly annually, but also have currently 900 million.
Still got the rest of the year to go.
So this is, the 900 million that you have right now is from what you took in from last year?
It's an ongoing process of investments.
Okay.
And just to clarify, it's not a 900 million of the county's money, right? So there's a portion that's the county's, there's a portion that's CAC's, the library district, the.
Yes,
Fire
that's
district,
that's just divided
Montgomery
against
Flood
every
Control.
taxing authority across the county.
Okay. So the 900 million that you currently have is slated to be distributed to
Yes.
all those that need it in all the different communities.
Yes, sir.
When they budget, yeah.
That makes more sense.
Okay. Great question. Thank you.
Anyone else?
It can, Mr. Mayor, Councilmember, it can be a very confusing process. I know, like, when I took office, because you hear tax lien sale, right? Or tax lien auction.
Right.
And you think that somebody's actually bidding on the tax lien, right? They're bidding a dollar value. And really what they're bidding on is an interest rate, right? So the state statute says you can have 16% interest on a tax lien. In the sale process, in the tax lien auction process, the bidder is actually bidding down the interest rate, not the value, right? So where you may say, I'll take 15% to pay off this person's tax lien, and I come in and say 5, I win because I was lower than you. So that took me probably a good 3 weeks to finally wrap my head around, because you hear auction and you think there's some sort of dollar value involved, and really what you're bidding down is the interest rate. So some of the stuff can get kind of confusing as it gets explained. So I appreciate your question. Thank you.
Right, well, yeah, and that part I completely understand. It's just the way that you had initially stated it, it sounded like you had a major surplus of money sitting in an account.
No,
Gaining interest for possibly a rainy day fund. Kind of like the state has $1 billion sitting in a rainy day fund that's not being used, other than if they have to
no,
somewhere in the
and
future.
in each municipality or taxing authority, if they want to keep a rainy day fund, that's on their behalf. The money that we're holding for them is what gets invested. So it's money they budgeted for. It's money they were expecting to have in their coffers to be able to pay their bills throughout the 12-month period in which we only collect for, really 3 months.
Good.
Oh, yeah, they get the interest too. Just to make that clear, that doesn't stay with the county. That goes to the taxing authority.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions?
No other questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to
Yeah.
have our,
And if you ever want me
Elected
back,
official here.
I'm always welcome to come and speak. Thank you.
Your Honor, we also have here with us, we invite folks from Republic every 3 to 4 months to come in and give us updates on the landfill and Free Dump Week. And Michael Celaya, we turn it to you. He has some introductions tonight as well.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor Wilson, members of the council, City Manager Powell. It's great to be here in your city. As I grew up around your surrounding areas down south of Florence here, but really wanted to tell you that it's an honor to be in front of you. We're going to come out and share a little bit of some data on what's happening in your city. We're also going to share some exciting investments that are pertaining to recycling so that your community knows where the recycling products are headed. But prior to doing any of this, I'd like to introduce our new GM, Charlotte Thomas. She comes through us by way of San Diego County from the business units up there. She's been on board for almost 3 weeks, and she brings the passion and energy that this community needs. Charlotte?
I'll pass it back to Mike in a second to go through some of our slides, but just wanted to thank you guys so much for having me here, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to build our relationship and our partnership and really work with all of you. Like he said, it's the top of my 3rd week, so a lot to learn, but I'm excited to get involved in this community. I've already learned so much about the unique community of Apache Junction tonight. So I'm going to pass it back to Michael to go through some of our slides, and then you'll hear from me again related to some data for some of the contract benefits you guys are getting.
So in case you're getting it, Charlotte brings a team, right?
Yeah.
So with that, see, so something we're proud of, and I'm going to step to this real quick. So this is really rather a short presentation. We want to get to the end piece where it's the exciting news. Like your city, we're always growing, right? And unfortunately, that comes with your community as you're embracing the growth that you're experiencing here. And just like with the Republic Services, we're experiencing the same. And with that, your goals change as you keep moving up. And this slide here is really where we're sort of moving to. There are 4 key components of safety, talent, climate, leadership, and communities. The safety portion is our #1 priority in this company. Safe drivers, safe trucks means safe community. Climate leadership, we talk about climate action plans. As your city grows, you're going to morph into the planning of zero waste and these kind of things, and we're going to be happy to be right there, right alongside you. But for this particular here, James is going to touch on plastic circularity and what that means. You're always hearing in the media, plastic, plastic, plastic. Well, we're going to go into that just a little bit more. And in communities, this is part of our DNA. We invest quite a bit in this with our partnerships with our communities. And a little bit of what we do with that is the charitable givings. These are 3 areas that we like to move in when we host a city, carry their contract, or we don't carry their contract. We pride ourselves on this National Neighborhood Program grant that's specifically for nonprofits here, C3, C13s, C19s. These are all up for an annual basis. And if there are some vying projects in your community that you think are worthy, please share with us. Something common that comes straight out of BUs, oh, by the way, that is authorized by the corporate headquarters, our National Neighborhood Program grant. Our community grants program is got the sole discretion of the likes of Charlotte and her BU, and they're for smaller type of projects. We average around 15 to 2,000 in that category, but there could be some needs in just some seed promotions there with some local organizations. And then our last one is our event sponsorships that we do throughout your community as well.
Great, and before I dive into some of the data around some of the benefits that your residents get with Republic, just touching back on the communities, a big part of Republic is, serving our customers and our employees and the communities that they live. And what I love is hearing from drivers who, born and raised in Apache Junction. One of the first drivers I met when I got out here, one of our younger drivers, started, I think it was about 4 months ago. She told me she was born and raised in Apache Junction. She always saw the blue trucks, that's what she wanted to do. And now she's driving with us and driving a residential route. Part of it's at Apache Junction. So stuff like that, those stories, those roots in the community are the things that really warm my heart and get me excited to, like I said, really build those ties. But looking, at some of the benefits and the access that your residents get with the contract, and especially with the landfill. I made this slide, but I'm going to go backwards, so go from landfill access to recycling, so going from right to left. I always like giving data around how much your residents are using our free dump weeks. So we pulled some data around the tonnages that we got in each quarter. As you can see, around 150 tons each quarter, more than 5,000 in savings when you look at the gate rate that the residents would have to pay outside of that free dump week. And then looking at the free bulk, which is a great service and a lot of the residents really enjoy. So far, year to date, it's about 950 lifts, so units, items that we're picking up. And when you look at that compared to, a non-Apache Junction resident gate rate, that's nearly $40,000 in savings if their weight is under that 500-pound limit. So huge opportunity for residents to take advantage of our landfill, and the combination of our hauling and our landfill side is a really great asset that we bring to the table here. And then lastly, touching on recycling, which James, our division sales manager, is going to go into some more detail, but just wanted to give you guys an idea about the participation in recycling. Within the city, we have about 2,000 customers who are participating, and that gets us about 1,000 yards a week. I think that's about 20% of the residents who are participating in recycling, and there's nothing but upside for that now that we are opening our material recovery facility at River. Just a lot more opportunity to get residents signed up for recycling and bringing more recycling tonnage into the material recovery facility and out of the landfill to really extend the life of the Apache Junction landfill. So I'm going to pass it over to James Rowlick, our division sales manager, who's going to talk about our new MRF just down the road in River.
Yeah, so this is actually a website that we actually produced. It is a Republic website. It's called Recycling Simplified. Obviously, you can read that. But the reason why we brought this up is it's a good point of reference for you to be able to, let your community know, hey, what can go, what cannot go. It gives a lot of good examples around, a lot of times at our actual facilities, a lot of the fires that get created are because people try to recycle either propane tank or batteries, things of those nature. In which we do have ways of being able to dispose of those in a proper way. But I do bring that up because obviously, we have fires from time to time, whether it be even at AJ or other areas, and typically those are caused because of those materials. But really easy to use website. It's a great point of reference as far as people not knowing what materials will go. We are a single stream provider, and what I mean by that is all the materials as far as the recyclables 1 through 7, they can all be combined into one container, obviously, and then I'll reference basically the recycle facility and how we actually separate those there as well. Yeah, so exciting news. We actually will start taking officially material as of tomorrow when it comes to this facility. This is at the Salt River landfill. It's fully operated by Republic Services. Obviously, you can see the investment piece that we put into this. Come September the 12th will be actually our full launch and our grand opening. So if anybody from the council would like to attend, we would love to have you there, be present for that ribbon cutting. This facility, it's state-of-the-art, and what I mean by that, some of the upgrades that we've actually implicated to this facility is we actually added a 35,000-gallon water tank. We also have AI there as far as artificial intelligence, and some of our actual mechanisms, they can actually distinguish between materials. So it has an electronic arm, and it literally can pick out the plastics and the materials that we're choosing to separate at that time, so it's not all basically manpower. So we've created a lot of efficiency around that. I also referenced earlier, we talked about our fire suppression. This facility will be monitored 24 hours a day, and they have the ability to operate the water cannons at any time. So if there is a fire that basically arises at the facility, then we have the ability to be able to extinguish it and hopefully at least give us enough time for, our fire team to be able to get there and be able to help us with that. This is just one of the images that we have of the facility. It's very compact, so there's actually 3 different levels in regards to the actual materials and them getting separated. But Machine X, they typically perform most of our manufacturing when it comes to our MRFs, but they were the ones that actually facilitated this. And you are welcome to possibly have a tour as well. We're very open to that, so if you ever want to have a tour of the facility or be able to even bring some kids from your school systems, any of that, we're very open to be able to show them the facility, and we're very proud of it. So this is really cool. So this is referencing our polymer center. And what we're doing now is we're actually taking everything full scale and turnkey. So when it comes to plastics, to basically sum it up, we're now going to manufacture our own plastic bottles. We're creating 4 of these facilities that are across the U.S., so that way they can service each region of the U.S. Ours specifically is going to be located in Las Vegas, and it'll actually be open by the end of the year. So a lot of the plastics right now that maybe necessarily aren't driving any revenue from a commodity standpoint, we're actually able to take those to this facility and be able to use those commodities there. So now when you're talking about, maybe 20-30% of your plastics actually being recycled for obviously a good purpose, That number and percentage is now going to increase to where we can actually use more of the plastics because of this facility. And got a video.
I can turn it on here.
You got it?
Yep.
And this is basically in reference to
Plastic is everywhere.
Oh, you want to finish?
Oh, go ahead.
No, okay.
It's in almost every product you buy, but it doesn't always get recycled. In fact, only 30% of single-use plastic bottles and jugs are recycled, and plastic pollution throughout the environment continues to grow. Even when plastic packaging is put in the recycling bin, it's often downcycled into a product like carpet, or construction pipe, or park benches. At the same time, the demand for recycled plastic is growing. Brands are making pledges to use more recycled content in their packaging, and some states are beginning to require it. How can we support our customers' increasing demand for recycled plastic and help ensure that a plastic water bottle gets recycled into another plastic water bottle? The answer requires an investment in innovation and infrastructure to build a truly circular economy for plastics, the kind of investment we're making at Republic Services. Announcing the new Republic Services Polymer Center. For the first time ever, a single, safe, reliable company will manage the entire plastics recycling process, from post-consumer curbside to production-grade material. Here's how the new Polymer Center will close the loop in the circular economy to meet the rising demand for higher quality and food-grade recycled plastic in the marketplace. Consumer recycling is picked up by Republic Services and delivered to a regional recycling facility where it is sorted by material into bales. Traditionally, many of those plastics have been downcycled. Now, those plastics will be delivered to a centralized polymer center. Our new facility will shred and wash the plastic or sort it by color, ensuring maximum reuse and enabling greater circularity. The Polymer Center will produce more than 100 million pounds per year of recovered resin products. That's 100 million pounds of plastic back into the circular economy. Our first Polymer Center will open in Las Vegas in 2023 and serve communities throughout the West, with plans for a nationwide network to follow. As a leader in the environmental services industry and one of the nation's largest recyclers, Republic Services is uniquely positioned to support the circular economy through innovation and investment. The Polymer Center offers an innovative solution for plastic circularity from curb to product. It's just the latest example of Republic Services putting sustainability in action.
We'd be happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Mr. Mayor? One of the things that I've always heard is troublesome when it comes to recycling is contaminated recycling. I've always heard and that seems to be an issue because, and I kind of got the impression for it to be acceptable, you had to clean out and wash out every piece of recyclable, whether it's plastic or aluminum, what have you. Can you help us understand, where does this contaminated recycling fit in?
Yeah, so basically, specifically in referencing plastics, so if there is any residue within the container, so on and so forth, typically that's considered contamination. With the Polymer Center, that's now going to eliminate a lot of that because now we're actually going to clean out the material on our own. So that's actually going to eliminate a lot of it for when it comes to plastic piece. When it comes to cardboard, there's challenges around that. Anytime it gets contaminated, obviously, you know how it deteriorates the actual cardboard piece. Yeah. So, typically whenever we provide services for cardboard specific, we try to make sure that that's the only single stream that's going into that actual container. And it's usually a lot more volume piece for customer-wise. But usually it's the residue piece. But with the Polymer Center, that's now going to eliminate a lot of that, where when it says it's going down cycle, obviously it's going to a landfill at that point.
Right.
And Something that James shared was the Recycling Simplified website. A lot of great resources, and, you know, I've been in this industry for 2 years, and I learn something new about recycling every day. You know, you can recycle this, but not that, this part of the top, not this part. You know, it's a partnership to continue the education. You know, there's a lot of great opportunities that we can, you know, come to schools, you know, have education and outreach opportunities. You know, we do a lot of that stuff on Earth Day, but we can do it, you know, all year round. But contamination is a huge issue, and a lot of times it's just the education and working with the community and getting them the resources. Because like I said, I learn something new I can recycle and something new I can't every day. And it's just continuing that. So Recycling Simplified has a lot of great resources, but you have our whole team here to put a face to a name and explain some of the more complicated pieces.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to say, I'm really excited about the recycling. We have to do this. I'm really excited about your new plant going up and the recycling of all the plastics back into more plastics. That's going to help immensely in our environmental fight. Like I said, I was talking to you earlier, to get people to get on board with recycling, I would love to see eventually if we could do one garbage and one recycling pickup for one price, and then if they wanted extra garbage or whatever, they'd pay for the extra can or extra pickup. Because I just know how people are, and if they have to pay for the extra can, they might not want to do that. And recycling, we need to go down this road. Just like we need to conserve water, we need to do our part and recycle. And you guys are doing your part by getting the plants up and getting the plants running. So I hope our people in Apache Junction will jump on the recycling bandwagon. But like I said, a lot of our people, most of the complaints I get are, I don't need 2 garbage, I need 2 recycling, because everybody buys things from Amazon now, and they have a bunch of boxes and stuff. But I'm really excited about this.
You know, one way to improve that, through my experience in like some other markets and conditions, typically with partnerships, you know, we've actually created containers that were 20-yard containers. They would come with a cover, and they would have 3 sliding doors on each side. And typically, if the city or the community had a place where we could stage those, we could actually designate them as different, you know, commodities, whether it be the cardboard piece, the plastic piece, and that would be an opportunity for them to actually take it there directly. And you could actually, you know, be able to remove that piece of where they're having to pay for an extra container and do those things. But that is an opportunity for us in this market that we could possibly do.
Okay. Like I said, anything we can get the population that actually recycle is a big plus. We're going to have to, it's going to get mandated eventually, but, you know, California's already mandated it, so, but it's important to our environment, and we need to do it.
Yes, Mayor, council member, we'll continue to work with your city manager and continue those discussions in the coming days.
Yep, thank you, sir.
Your Honor.
Yes.
So before we went into contract with Republic Services as a city as a whole, we had recycling and we had trash, and picked up twice a week. I live in your zone. After we got into contract, it was offered a great price, and I am 100% satisfied with that contract price for our trash. However, if you wanted to add recycling to that, it costed almost 50% more than the contracted price, and that's why a lot of people were like, no. And the rationale behind that was because it wasn't conducive. We had to ship everything overseas, and it just didn't, the cost wasn't there. Well, now that you have these facilities, is there something that you're going to put in for the residents of Apache Junction that doesn't add an extra, I think it was $16 to the cost? So basically, you had the contract price for the trash pickup, but if you want recycling, you added another $16. So in a sense, they were paying the same amount they were before the contract price if they wanted to do recycling also. And it looks like you guys are starting to do this on your own. So is this going to reflect, are we going to be able to offer recycling at a more reasonable price than 150% more than what their price is for the trash pickup?
Yeah, and I think just reiterating what Mike was saying, you know, I think we have a new leadership team. We're going to be working with Bryant to answer all these questions and revisit where these prices are. But I agree, now that we are becoming more circular and keeping everything in-house more, there are opportunities to mitigate any price impact that would be hitting the customer. But all I can say now is these conversations are going to continue to happen, and there's a lot of great opportunity to fine tune and get the most out of this contract for the Apache Junction residents.
Quick question. So when you're doing this circulature of this recycling, so the raw product that you're picking up okay, let me think about this. We're going to pay so that you will pick up the raw materials, take it to Las Vegas, and inside your own plant, you're going to recondition this, chip it all up into small pieces, make it into other containers, which then you will sell to suppliers. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's more or less the premise. Are all those materials going to be made into bottles? No. So you referenced, majority of all the commodities going to China. It's no longer the case. They obviously, they no longer accept it. So what we have experienced in the market from a government standpoint is they are starting to regulate some of these companies that are manufacturing, let's say, a 5-gallon bucket from Home Depot or Lowe's. Now that material or that product is actually going to be required to have a certain percentage of it actually be made out of recycled commodities. So the market's changing from that factor. You're starting to see that happen where these companies are going to be required to do that and start utilizing the commodity piece more. So I can't speak, it's a little bit above my level in regards to speaking to where all the materials are going to go to. But yes, that is, I guarantee that's the premise, is to be able to make money off of it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going here. So
Correct.
We're going to give you the bulk material so that you can make a little bit more profit. So I hope that you'll take that in consideration of the people that are putting their stuff in a container that you're charging us for, that maybe you can figure out how we're going to do that at a little lesser rate than what you have planned.
Yes, ma'am. I totally agree. And to that, also, some of the commodities we don't make any money. Glass is very tough to make money off of. Typically, that all gets shattered, and we try to find another use for it, but usually it's pretty tough to come by when it comes to the glass piece. So certain commodities, obviously, at certain times, we do have the ability to recoup some of the money, but that's also why some of it gets downcycled. Some of the plastics right now, as is, where we're only using 30% of it, typically we're having to, take that into a landfill and having to dispose of it properly that way. So it becomes challenging at times. That's why we have multiple vendors that will buy the commodities, depending on the scenario and the situation.
Well, and to just, I was going to say answer a little bit more, but it is going to be a little bit vague. I think you can see, the Polymer Center is brand new, first of its kind, I think, within a environmental services trash company. So definitely, like I said, open space, green space opportunity to look at our contracts and look at how we're pricing and look at how we're servicing. Because, we're changing kind of our business model. So good opportunity to think about how it's trickling down all the way to the customer. But brand new, going to take some time to see how that impacts all the way through the cycle. But definitely something we will think about.
Your Honor.
Yes.
The question I'd like to ask is mainly to quash a rumor, if you will, because I've heard it over the years, the last several years, from several sources. There's a belief, true or not, here in Apache Junction, a lot of people don't recycle because they have to pay to have it recycled, but yet Republic Services doesn't recycle anything. They just dump it in they pick it up and then just dump it in the landfill with the rest of the trash.
And I can assure you, we're not doing that unless we do find, a significant amount of contamination. Our recycling facilities will only accept certain percentages of contamination. So if a load is consistently contaminated, that's when we talk to the customer, that's when we do the education and outreach. But our recycling materials will be going to River recycling facility, and during the interim period when River was being built, we were sending it to our transfer station, which was going down to our Tucson material recovery facility, our recycling center down there. So, when there is heavy contamination, at that point it's largely MSW and not recycling, and we will dispose of that properly. But when contamination is below that threshold, it is going to one of our recycling facilities.
Mayor, one last thing. I really, really like that you're gonna reach out to the schools. I hope the schools take advantage of this. We have to teach our youth about recycling, just like we do with water. I know you guys have done it in the past. You've had them come through the old plant that burned down. I hope we continue with that. I know you guys are doing it, and I hope the school districts, at least once a year, send some kids out there to learn about recycling and how it works and why it's so important. Thank you.
To add a little bit more color, whenever we're operating a recycling route, 100% of that material goes to the actual recycling facility, because then it's sorted, and obviously we see if there is contamination, and then that ends up going into a different container, and then that container is what ends up being hauled to the landfill. But that's more or less the process of how it goes. Nothing that gets picked up on that route, everything goes to our recycling facility. And that's why we have sorters of that nature to be able to figure that out.
Okay. Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Michael. And my last item, I'd like to share some news out of the police department. That's some sad news. This last week, a lieutenant and our auxiliary superstar, 50-year law enforcement volunteer, Will Haynes, passed away at his home here in Apache Junction. He was well known throughout the community, Pinal County, Apache Junction, and served in some capacity with Pinal County Sheriff's Office or Apache Junction Police Department since 1973. Chief Pulley, in his email to all the staff at the police department, said he was fortunate enough to go to Will's home this morning and pay my respects to him and his family members. While I was with Will's family, I passed on our love and condolence on behalf of the Apache Junction Police Department and the city of Apache Junction. Just wanted everyone to know just how much we loved Will and how we'll miss him. And with that, wanted to turn it over to Al for the items in the community events.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Al Bravo, Public Information Officer for the city. It is my pleasure to come up and briefly tell you about a couple things going on. Like I said, you know what? We didn't update our dates there. Look at that. I'm just looking at that now. I have to do that myself. A couple of things, even though we're in the middle of the summer, there's stuff going on. And I should, by the way, mention to the Vice Mayor in particular that this first company that's going to come into the Ellsworth East, to the Gateway East development that they're going to do just east of the airport. It's going to come right up to Ellsworth. So we're now talking just a couple of miles away from Superstition Vistas. That first company that they're engaging with from Canada is actually a company that manufactures HVAC units at a, supposedly like a 30% more efficient rate of some sort. So something that we will have to pass along for you to look into. I'm sure it's something interesting from your industry. Being, like I said, that this is the beginning of the summer, tomorrow is the first day of summer, technically. We all know that here it kind of comes a little bit early, but it also means it's a good time to remember that it is wildfire season and it's also monsoon season. We have a lot of information out on our website and, of course, in our social accounts to remind everybody to get ready for the monsoon season. We're kind of still pretty dry. We probably won't see too much rain here in the next couple of weeks. But we do know that it's coming, as it does every summer, and we always want to make sure everybody's aware of things that they should do ahead of time, and then things go bad, where to call and whatnot. So please go to our website. We have a lot of information there. There's information there from the county as well as from the state on monsoon awareness. We just finished up Monsoon Awareness Week, since the official start of the monsoon in Arizona is now June the 15th. We also want to remind everybody that in addition to fire season, it's also the season that people like to get their own fireworks. This is where you can really get hurt. So we have some information also out there from to everybody to please be careful with what you do. You can really get hurt, as this graphic shows. And so what we tell everybody is you really don't have to worry about it, because all you have to do is come to our fireworks show on July 4th. We will be, of course, celebrating Independence Day at Superstition Shadows Park off of Ironwood and Southern. Gates open at 6. The fireworks show should start right around 8:30. We hope to see you all there. And remember, everything that we talk about here is not mentioned on the website is usually in our newsletter that we send out every Thursday. You just go to our website /newsletter to sign up. Those are your announcements for June 20th, 2023. Oh, Mr. Heck did have one more to add. Go ahead there, Councilman Heck.
Thank you, Al. I wanted to make you aware of an event that will be taking place at the AJ Public Library on Thursday, June 29th, 10 o'clock. The event is called Horsing Around. And I believe there's a young lady, her name is Kaylin. I believe she is a student at the high school. And I think this is a project of hers. And she is doing that to give people the opportunity to learn about horses, about horse care, kind of a very high-level look at all of that. And there'll be a special guest, Maria Jones from the Good Shepherd Healing Ministries Horse Rescue will be there, understand to bring a horse, and we'll be talking about all of that, and a number of us being horse lovers. It's a wonderful thing. Their horses are incredible. And so I would encourage you to come. It's about an hour, 10 to 11. Sorry, 10 to 11, Thursday the 29th. It's called Horsing Around at the Public Library.
Mayor, one other thing. Al, can we make sure we put something out about taking care of our four-legged furry friends too, especially over the 4th of July? Make sure that they're in kennels or safe so they don't run, because that's always a big issue.
Actually, we have something in our thing, but we'll pull that one out and do a special.
Thank you, sir.
You got it.
Okay. You done? Okay, thank you.
Mayor. That'll be my last long report.
Consideration for ordinance number 1535, rezoning and minor general plan amendment for case number P 22-126-PZ. Kelsey.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. My name is Kelsey Shatnick. I'm a planner on staff, and my presentation tonight is a rezoning request by WW Clyde / Blount Contracting. The subject property is located at the southeast corner of 12th Avenue and Vista Road. The property is currently zoned general commercial B1 and business park by plan development B4 PD, and the request is to rezone the entire property to B4 PD in order to construct a new office building and allow for the outdoor storage of vehicles and equipment. So here's a zoning map of the property. Again, you can see a portion of the property is zone B4 PD and the rest is B1. You have residential properties to the north, to the east, and you have commercial properties to the west, as well as industrial and Old West Highway to the south. Just to give a little bit of background information on this site, around 2015, Blount Contracting purchased the site at 1353 South Vista Road and constructed their current office facility. The northern portion prior to 2014 was a non-conforming auto wrecking business, and this property was rezoned to B4 PD in 2019 for a commercial condominium project, and the 3 remaining parcels to the south have been historically vacant. WW Clyde and Blount Contracting merged in 2020, and it was at that time that they started looking at expanding their current facility. So here's the proposed site plan for the property. I'll kind of walk through the key areas of the site because I know it can be a little difficult for everyone to see. So we'll start off for reference at their current facility. The applicant is proposing an 8-foot wall around the perimeter of the site, so what you see outlined is the approximate location of that wall. Their new office and warehouse building is proposed to the north of their existing office. The primary location of outdoor storage of materials is located just north of that. To the east of the existing building is pull-through parking for large vehicles and equipment. On the southern portion, you have the proposed fuel tanks and fuel station. And then finally, you have the new point of ingress-egress off of Old West Highway, which includes a deceleration lane. So here are the proposed elevations for the site. As you can see, the applicant is proposing a mixture of colors and material types in order to complement the existing facility. There's also going to be a monument sign on the corner of Vista and 12th Avenue, as well as signage on the new building. And then there will be signage along Old West Highway, basically on each side of the new entrance, and that's the view that you can see in front of you. Here's the proposed landscape plan. The applicant is providing landscaping on all 4 sides of the property, and they are proposing a 20-foot landscape buffer along Vista, as well as a 15-foot landscape buffer on Wickiup. That's important to note because these 2 portions of the street, they're right next to residential properties, and this is a larger buffer than the 10-foot minimum requirement within our code. This is just a continuation to show again that it's being provided on all 4 sides of the property. So this is along Old West Highway near the new ingress-egress point. So in terms of public input, a sign was posted at the site, notices were sent out to property owners within 500 feet, and the case was advertised in the newspaper. A formal neighborhood meeting was held by the applicant on February 1st, 2023, and the full final participation report was provided to you as a part of your staff report. And staff was contacted by 1 individual regarding the rezoning request. So staff has worked closely with the applicant to revise the originally proposed plan in order to help mitigate resident concerns. I'm not going to go through the entire set of conditions of approval, but I did want to highlight more of the significant changes that we've seen. So the first was the request to construct a minimum 8-foot high wall to screen outdoor storage on the inside edge of a landscape buffer. As mentioned earlier, they have complied with this request, and the outline you see is the location of that wall. The next is the relocation of the proposed fuel station further away from residential homes. The circle that you can see was the originally proposed location of the fueling station. And as you can see, the applicant has complied with the request, moving it on the western side of that newly proposed driveway. Next is the relocation of lighting away from residential homes. The original photometric plan was showing lighting along this eastern property line, and the applicant has relocated that lighting to a more central location. Next is large vehicles using Old West Highway as a primary point of ingress-egress. I know that this was a large topic of discussion at the work session, and staff has provided alternate condition of approval language within the City Council memo to clearly indicate, should you choose that all large vehicles access the property from Old West Highway. Next, staging vehicles and equipment the night prior to reduce backward motion of on-site vehicles and equipment outside of standard business hours. Again, I'll point to the pass-through parking being provided by the applicant, which would prevent the backward motion of those vehicles. So the public hearing with the Planning and Zoning Commission was held on May 9th, 2023. The commission recommended approval of the request in a 5-2 vote. This item was also heard at a City Council work session on June 5th, and a few questions came up during that work session, and so I'm going to go through some of those questions and hopefully provide a little insight to those. So the first, are any roadway improvements being provided along Wickiup? No, no improvements are being proposed at this time. The easement will be dedicated to the city, but it will remain as shown on the site plan. Do all truck drivers work for WW Clyde Blount? Most of them do, but there is the occasional contracted vehicle. The design of the proposed fuel tanks. So the applicant is proposing 6 fueling pumps, which includes 4 fuel tanks. The largest of the 4 would be about a 12,000-gallon tank. So an example of that can be seen on the screen, and that is approximately 7 feet 9 inches in height, and the tanks are designed to be installed horizontally. So that would be, so the applicant is providing an 8-foot high wall around the property, so this is actually shorter than the proposed wall. Will all maintenance be performed inside the newly proposed building? Yes, the intent of the new warehouse is to perform maintenance inside the building to increase efficiency and being located close to the tools required to do the job, as well as not be impacted by weather. And then, will the outdoor maintenance of vehicles and equipment only be performed during standard business hours? Yes, the applicant intends to only perform outdoor maintenance as needed during standard business hours, and they are amenable to this as a condition of approval. And again, conditions of approval regarding this item were provided in the City Council memo. So with that, staff recommends approval of P-22-126-PZ, subject to the conditions of approval found within the staff report, as well as the amended conditions of approval provided in the city council memo. That concludes my presentation for this evening. The applicant is present to answer any questions you might have regarding this property or provide a little more insight to the project, and staff is available to answer questions as well.
Your Honors.
I got a ton of questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I noticed that, I'm looking back at some email here, and I saw all these questions being answered, except I'm still not really understanding how you're going to make left turns into that facility through that deceleration lane. You'd have to go all the way down, turn around and come back, or you'd have to turn north on Tomahawk and then turn east on 12th, neither of which is built for those kind of trucks.
So the intent that was, kind of discussed with the applicant, and I will let them answer for themselves as well, but would be that the trucks would exit US 60 off of Goldfield, travel west off of Old West Highway to make the right-hand turn off of Old West Highway. So you wouldn't be able to make a left-hand turn if you were traveling eastbound, but traveling westbound would be the intent.
So what would be their regular path if you're traveling eastbound? How would they get there?
So I will defer that one to the applicant.
That's my question.
Your Honor.
Yeah, no, go say.
Numerous questions. You kind of talk about mitigation for the backup beeping sounds. And they also provided a noise study. It seems like the noise study just addressed idling vehicles. I didn't notice that they, took readings when the trucks are actually beeping and backing up. Those can be very, very loud. And I don't think that noise study is fair if it didn't even include those. So inevitably, there'll probably be some beeping once in a while after hours. Or is there a way that the applicant can assure the residents in that area that there will be absolutely no beeping after hours? One. How do you prevent semis coming in after hours that, some of these big haul rigs may not have exhaust pipes that are, they'll be the big wide open stacks that are quite noisy, and they're hauling heavy equipment, so they're having to make a little bit of noise just to get in. You have the overhead doors closed. With all the overhead doors closed, can the applicant assure the residents that their air tools and their equipment is not going to be able to be heard at 12 o'clock at night when they're trying to sleep? Can you manage the landscaping to prevent the trees from being scalped on a regular, semi-regular basis? Because we all know that, you try and use trees as a landscape buffer, and your landscape crew comes in every couple of years and takes them right down to a bare trunk darn near and waits for them to get nice and bushy again and turn right around and do it again. It's kind of a revolving door. What's the applicant going to do to prevent damage to our roadways? I don't know as if Old West Highway is capable of the extra loads. Definitely 12th is not, and the side streets are definitely not. Some of the residents are already noting that even with the recent resurfacing, that it appears to already have some damage. These trucks weigh hundreds of tons, not hundreds of tons, but a lot. And the city kind of is in a situation where if we approve this, these trucks are coming through on a regular basis, day in and day out, yet there's no fees or funds generated by a repair facility if they're mainly repairing their own equipment. The contract stuff coming in will obviously produce a tax revenue. But their own equipment, there's no tax revenue generated. And so they're not contributing to the overall well-being of our city. Does that make sense? Okay. I know maybe Emil can speak as to the conditions or the capabilities of our roads, but you know, some of those questions need to be asked. Also, I'm wondering, you know, why they haven't chose a location like over by Caterpillar and over in our major industrial complex for this type of activity versus right in somebody's backyard. So.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I absolutely love everything about this. The 30 to 50 jobs it's going to bring into our community, the millions of dollars in private investment through construction. It's exactly what this city needs. And I feel it's actually in a really good spot. It's beginning to show that, you know, we're pulling up a chair to the table here. We're not, we're bringing in these companies, and I don't feel that. I think they handled everything properly. They addressed things. They were worried about the neighbors, so they made a taller wall. They moved the lights. They made wider landscaping. I think something like this is the city has been starving for a very long time, and I for one, be glad to have them here.
Mayor?
Yes.
I side with Rob on this. I think it's a golden opportunity to bring some jobs to our city. I think they've answered a lot of the questions we asked. You just got asked a bunch of different ones that, you know, I get it. But, you know, they're talking about not doing stuff outside very much, and if they do, it will be during business hours, be enclosed. They had a community meeting. How many people showed up to that?
I believe there were 7 individuals.
7? Okay. And 1 complaint? Or 1 person, it said 1 person on there. So
There was 1 individual who reached out to me directly,
Okay.
and then a couple of the items that we have discussed tonight were also brought up.
have we addressed the community's issues?
I believe we have addressed most of the issues that were brought up, but I will also allow the residents to speak.
Okay. I like the idea of it, and I think it brings jobs to our community, and, you know, I think the roadway is capable of handling bigger trucks, that part of the roadway, the way they have it routed going in, so I'm for it.
Your Honor. Kelsey, has our city engineer already looked at all of this?
Yes.
And said that our roads, are they adequate to handle the traffic, et cetera, et cetera? All of these questions that have been asked. I mean, the city engineer signed off on it, that it's okay?
So our city engineer has reviewed these plans, and he is here tonight if you would like to ask him any direct questions or maybe get a little bit more clarification on those roadways.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I just want to be clear, as much as I'm totally on board with this, it's not to pale council members Cross's concerns, and I'd like for those concerns to be addressed.
Thank you.
Okay, City.
Thank you, and I will invite the applicant up now to hopefully answer your questions.
Do we want to hear from Emil first?
Would Emil want to answer the questions on the?
Emil, can
Yeah,
you come on up?
You should have Emil come up.
Thanks, Kyle.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Emil Schmidt, City Engineer, Public Works Department, 575 East Baseline Avenue. As far as the pavement goes, I did talk to our Public Works Director, Ted Wolf, as well as Shane Kiso, our Public Works Manager. He's responsible for pavement maintenance Throughout the city, you see him annually presenting his pavement maintenance plan. I asked him specifically about the roads citywide, and he said all of our roads are built such that they can handle legal truck weights. So what is legal truck weight? I think semi pulling a trailer, maybe 40 tons. Full cement truck, 33 tons. Full trash truck, 25. Class A motorhome might weigh about 15 tons. As far as 12th Avenue goes, we all know that Shane conducts an annual pavement assessment citywide, 180 miles of road. And on this particular road segment on 12th Avenue, he inspected as recent as April of this year with a recommendation for no treatment needed. We are aware that WW Clyde / Blount has been operating facility there for 8 years, primarily with the access coming up Vista towards 12th Avenue. If there was an issue with pavement degradation that was being accelerated because of excessive use, I would have heard that from Shane because I'm the one that, from Public Works, that reviews the off-site improvement parts of the project. So I guess the long and short of it is, per our staff and their pavement experience, that we haven't seen any issues currently with the site use.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
That answer any of the paving
No,
questions?
thank you.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you.
Okay, you'd like to speak? Come on. Oops. Didn't mean to bang that.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. My name is Jonathan Biesinger, 437 South, 2920 West, Lehi, Utah. I am employed by the Clyde companies. I am tasked with the responsibility to manage the design and construction of the facilities for all of our different companies. That's why I'm coming from out of town, because there are several companies that I do the same thing for. Kelsey's done a great job of presenting the design that the two of us have collaborated together, and I have nothing to add or subtract from what she has presented. So you could say that was also my presentation, because they're one and the same. Mayor, there are I heard 7 questions brought up by this chamber. I'd like to address them. As far as the sound study, omitting a study of beeping, the reason why the sound study omitted that is because the Apache Junction noise ordinance omits beeping regulation. In other words, beeping is a thing, and so the noise ordinance doesn't address it. In fact, I think there's language in there that says that something to the effect of omitted. Loud trucks. Again, this focuses really on the hours of operation question. That loud is a subjective word. I think they're loud. I mean, we didn't measure decibels, but loud trucks is something that is required to haul heavy materials, and it's just, until we invent something differently, they're going to be louder than the normal car, because the normal car can't pull 40 tons. And it is our intention to always perform during normal business hours. And the reason why our application requested an allowance for operating after normal business hours is because we work in a critical industry where sometimes that kind of work is required after hours. Sometimes we can't just close the door and say we're closed, because some work has to be done after hours. But to the great extent that it is possible, we want to work during normal business hours. The loud shop. It is in our best interest to work indoors. And right now we don't have that ability in this facility that we're working from now. We want to work indoors because we're more efficient. Our tools are readily accessible. We're not dependent on weather conditions. We want to be in with doors shut, doing our job, because we're more efficient. As for the loudness, that probably is one of the quieter things we do. I mean, it's oils and, you know, it is our intention to work indoors. Landscape maintenance. One of our mission statement is to build better communities. That is something we do contractually. It also begins in our backyard. And we want to build a better community here. This is also part of the last question about why here. So we're investing a lot of money into our existing property to improve it. And since we've been on that property, it has been improving. And now we're looking for an opportunity to invest even more money into it to improve it further. And as an investment, we want to take care of it. And we're actually really good about our landscape maintenance. We don't have a lot of landscape at this facility, so there's really nothing to maintain. But if you were to see our other facilities throughout the Intermountain West, we maintain our landscaping. Damaged roadways, I believe, was addressed. Well-being of the city, I think that ties into why here. We want to grow here. We want to be a good neighbor. We want to take the facility that we already have and improve upon it. And that's why we've asked for the zone change, so that we can make sense of the property that we have, to improve it, to beautify it, make it more efficient, and make it more friendly in the neighborhood. And that's what this design that Kelsey has presented, that's what we intend to do.
Mayor? You might not be able to answer this, but that facility's already working on big trucks, correct?
Yes.
Have we had any major complaints about them in the last 8 years?
We've had complaints.
Okay. And what was it, noise?
Noise.
Okay.
Yeah, and early work, and we get calls. I don't know if Chief has the data in front. We've had some calls.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the indoor facility will help alleviate the noise.
Significantly, as well as the 8-foot wall.
Okay.
The only question I have, and I never thought about it till it's your answer or your company's answer to the accessing the site from Old West Highway. Do you want to address that at all? Is that, I don't know if that's an issue or not, since Emil's already looked at everything. You're the one that brought it up, or somebody with this company, about not an eastbound left-hand turn lane on Old West Highway at the location of the property.
Right, that came as a result of the city council meeting on the 5th of June, that it would be a condition of approval that the egress, ingress of the site be at Old West Highway. In order for that to work, all eastbound traffic would most likely have to be on Superstition Highway, make a left-hand turn at Goldfield, and then make a left-hand turn on Old West, and then make your way to the property. And all of those are roads that would sustain our traffic.
So that all of your drivers and all the people, anybody coming to your site will know that that's the route that they have to take to get there.
Yeah, I think it would be a learning curve.
Okay, thank you.
Yes?
How many vehicles do you anticipate coming and going on a daily basis?
Oh, that's a great question. You're probably familiar with a Peterbilt or an International big diesel truck that has the several wheels that pulls trailers. We have 3 of those, and they rarely ever make more than 1 rotation a day. So that's 3 out, 3 back. I'm really not at a position to answer that definitively for you. What I could say is that it would be the same as it is now for a little while. We're growing, and in fact, I was going to also present. Let me just say definitively, I don't know, but I can get back to you on that. What I can say is that we're growing a lot. In fact, right now we have roughly 300 people on payroll. 40 of those actually are on site. The other 260 commute from their private residence to whichever construction site they're on. But that number, that roughly 300 on payroll, has literally doubled in the past 18 months or so. We used to be half as this size 18 months ago. It's difficult to project the future, but if we're on this same path, it's conceivable that we would double again in the next 3 to 5 years, which we have built this building, which is far bigger than what we need now, but we've built it for growth. We anticipate to fill it. And doing so would increase traffic, and I'd really have to get back to you on what we anticipate that to be.
Okay. Is your business plan to expand to the point where you're taking in outside contractors, in other words, other contractors other than your own fleet for repairs to generate revenue? Is that in your scope site for future work and future expansion?
I really am not at the disposition to say. I'd love to be able to answer that question. I'm not the president of the company, and he isn't here, but I'd be glad to be able to answer that. I just don't feel confident I could answer it directly right now. It is not I can tell you in general terms it's not an efficient model. We would rather it be our own facility, our own resource doing it. But there are occasions when it makes sense to subcontract out. But I'd have to find out better and tell you more definitively.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
I have another question for Kelsey.
Okay.
Well, real fast. So, in regards to like the semi-traffic, we won't really see anything any different than what we see through Fry's or Walmart or anything like that. These places that probably get a delivery every day or every other day. I mean, this will be more or less the same sort of application, right? I mean, it's not. I don't want a picture to be painted where we're just going to see nothing but a row of semis coming up and down the road all day long. That's just not the way it's going to be.
Right. This facility is not a destination the way a Walmart is. We don't have deliveries brought to us. It is, the point of the facility is to maintain the fleet that we have. That includes, bulldozers, rollers, the off-road type of equipment that needs to be brought in on a trailer. So as maintenance is needed, it comes to the facility.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to congratulate the company on the growth that they've had over the last 18 months in a very challenging environment that so many companies have not. And to know that as you have thought to expand, you want to grow here instead of taking your business and taking it to some other town that has an existing facility. I'm pleased that you decided that you wanted it to stay rooted here.
Thank you, and to that point, it makes sense to hire local. And that's another motivation for being here. We already are local, we want to hire local. And I think that addresses the question of what well-being of the city is being benefited by us, and I would just say we're a great place to work with.
Okay, none other right there.
Here's a question from Kelsey.
Can we do?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Real quick.
I was going to ask a question myself, not directly of yours, but if you wanted to stay there, I want to ask the city manager, and is there something that we as a city could work a partnership with them in developing a turning lane, so if they're heading eastbound on Old West Highway, that we'd be able to put in a crossover? Is that
You're
something
thinking about
that
like the crossover we did with Fry's and maybe
Yeah.
what we did near Popeyes?
Yes.
Yeah, that's something we could look at with Emil. Emil, is that something we could talk to Ted about and start looking at? It definitely is something that yeah, he's saying yes. So yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's something I think we could work as a partnership with, and putting something in there to take care of I'll say the eastbound traffic to turn directly in.
We've done a few of those, sir, and we can look at that.
That'd be great.
Okay, all right, Kelsey?
It takes a little planning, Mayor, and a little bit of time, preparation for Public
Yeah,
Works to
it
get that
won't-
programmed.
I know it
Yeah.
won't happen tomorrow.
Right.
It won't happen this year. We'd have to
Budgeting.
put it on the budget for next year, but it's something that we can all work on and get the design and everything on.
Mr. Mayor, to that point, we are proceeding at risk with design for construction documents and have so for the past 7 weeks. And we anticipate in the next 4 weeks to have plans ready for construction review to be submitted. What you say about getting a left-hand turn lane, maybe not this year, my point is that it will take, 6 to 8 weeks through the potential construction review process, and then 12 to 14 months to build the facility. So we're a year and a half away before we're actually where the end result of this.
Okay, so, yeah, it'd be good timing. Okay, Kelsey, thank you.
It's really simple. We want to change the zoning to B5,
Before.
B4. Right across the street is B5, which is industrial.
Correct.
And what could be put across the street? Same type of facility?
The same type of facility, yes, it could be.
And that's
Put
just directly south, so there is industrial in the neighborhood.
Right here, right
Yeah,
across
there is,
the
and
Old
it's
West
already
Highway.
hard.
It's already zoned for.
So it's zoned outright for this use.
They have that right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this matter?
Good evening, Andre Meek, 1327 South Bel Air here in AJ. Couple things, I think it's a great idea. We could use the work, the jobs here and everything like that. One thing to consider, maybe big trucks like that haul big equipment, yeah, they're loud, they like their twin pipes and everything, they like their Jake brakes. So maybe banning Jake brakes from the exit on the freeway down Old West Highway would be a good idea, so they're not running those when they're coming in. And then another thing, left turn lane, if you're talking about this area and then an industrial area right across that has a potential, your left turn lane, you'd want to do a double left turn lane, and then also, why not put a traffic light that's activated by a left turn vehicle? It's not going to be very often because it's for the big trucks, and you restrict it to the heavy trucks if you need to. But then, so they come in, that triggers a light for the traffic to come through, so we don't have, a crazy accident out there where a truck with a big bulldozer on it gets hit because somebody ain't paying attention coming the other way. So, a couple points, that's about it. I think it's a good idea myself. If I wasn't so old, I'd get a job there.
Okay, anyone else?
Hi, my name is Shauna Scott. I live at 1950 East 12th Avenue, which is directly north of the construction and the equipment that's been running on the street. We want to say that we are absolutely pro-business. And is this the type of business that we need for our community? And the answer is undecidedly yes. And as a voter and as a resident, we have already voted on where we wanted this type of growth located. It's not that we oppose Blount, it's that we're opposing the location. If you turn off of Tomahawk onto 12th Avenue, it is horse property and residences all the way to the mountain. And putting an industrial park here for them to use, there's a lot of negative impact on our personal properties as far as value, quality of life. There have been hours of operation. Yes, I am the one person who has called in and said, this is outside of hours. But at the same time, I have also called the officers for assistance with unauthorized vehicles after hours. So we are trying to protect our community. They are proposing this when the vote that the people wanted was to put all of this business south, such as the areas of U-Haul and CAT, which are like businesses. And this is not a company that's going to generate sales revenue. They are not going to generate income for the county, but what they will do is give you a better median income average, which is important. But we're talking about taking areas that are lightly trafficked and we're turning them into turn lanes. We are trying to allow them to quiet their operations of what they would like to do on occasion 24/7. They operate a lot of times out of hours, and they would like you to believe that their trucks are small in size, like a residential dump truck, but that's not the case. These are oversized load equipment. And if they're going to be exiting where they're proposing, are they turning onto Tomahawk and going past all the residences? Are they going to go down towards the Fry's exit and turn there? I don't think that that has been determined or addressed. We do appreciate the fact that they have moved some of the items around and that they have proposed a wider landscape barrier. That really doesn't mitigate the sound. OSHA has requirements of the decibels of this equipment, and it is very noisy. It's very noisy when the workers show up at 3. It's very noisy on the weekends when they're operating pneumatic equipment. And an 8-foot wall is nice, but most of these trucks are much higher than this. So it truly is impacting our quality of life. And we would respectfully ask that if this has to be at this location, which they're telling you they're going to outgrow in the next 3 to 5 years, that they would please operate within hours and follow noise ordinances so that we can work at home and enjoy our Zoom calls, so that we have the quiet after hours and we don't have the dust, the pollution, and the noise, and we are able to open the windows of our home. We would truly appreciate that. So,
Fine.
sorry, I didn't touch it.
That's okay, that's okay, it wasn't.
But anyhow, those are our genuine concerns, and that is a residential area, and we do have horses, and we do like to ride, and we are losing all of our open spaces. They can grow into a bigger area in a different location that will support their business model. Thank you.
Sean is very professional in the way that
she comes across with basically the law part of it. I just want to bring it down to a personal level. If it was your guys' house, everyone's sitting here, it is really loud. I am fortunate enough to be retired early, and I have a Corvette race car, and it's pretty loud. But you know what I don't do with that Corvette? Is fired up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I have respect for my neighbors. I hear about these guys talking about they're going to have respect for their neighbors. They haven't. And I think that's the biggest thing that bugs me, is it is really, really loud. And I would ask everyone in this room if you would want that directly across the street from your house at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to sleep. And I think your answer is probably going to be no. So that's a personal level on me. Obviously, nothing legal. I try to be a good neighbor, and I know I am. And in my opinion, these guys used to be, but the direction they're going, not so much. So thank you for my time.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Steve Byfield, 1000 South Idaho Road, the Chair for the Apache Junction Area Chamber of Commerce. We wanted to speak tonight in favor of this ordinance. It's changed, and we, we realize that it's there now, and, it's going to grow, and it's much bigger than what it is now, but it used to be a salvage yard. Well, we don't want that. I mean, salvage yards brings rodents and oil spills and everything else, so this is much better than what it was at one time. AJ needs this type of business, as some of you have mentioned. We should feel pretty proud that they've picked our community out of all the communities in the valley to bring this opportunity to us. They said they have 40 people on staff now, 30 to 50 more. That's a pretty good size employer in our community. So we definitely would welcome that. Chambers, that's part of our mission is to promote business and promote growth, but also with that comes employment. And as some of you have mentioned, it's a different market now with employees, and with this opportunity, I think it's really a good chance to bring some more employees into the city and future families to fill some of these homes. AJ's got a lot of contractors, handyman, all kinds of people in the city, but to get a business like this and this size is a rare occurrence, and I think that we should really take a look at it and approve this. And as I said, the city Apache Junction Chamber of Commerce is definitely supporting of this, and we hope that it passes tonight. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, I don't see any more movement. So I'll close the public hearing, and I'll ask for a motion.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that ordinance number 1535 be read by title only, and the reading of the entire ordinance be waived.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Nesser?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Cross?
Title only.
I realize it's title only. I still wanted to make more comments and figure out if there was a way we could address some of the concerns of the residents. But yes.
Councilmember Heck?
Yes.
Councilmember Soller?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder?
Yes.
Mayor Wilson?
Yes, but if you had said no, she had to read the whole thing.
I realize that. But I also wanted to make a point that I think we should have had the opportunity to discuss it a little bit more amongst us up here and figure out if there was a way that we could address any of the other issues. But
You can make that in your motion.
that was the point, that maybe we could figure out what that should say.
All right, now do I have the main motion?
Hold on. Let me read the ordinance, please.
Oh, sorry.
Ordinance number 1535, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, approving a rezoning and minor general plan amendment as described in case P-22-126-PZ, as requested by WW Clyde Blount Contracting, adopting by reference that certain document titled Legal Descriptions and Zoning Conditions of Case P-22-126-PZ. Applicant WW Clyde Blount Contracting, authorized under Ordinance Number 1535 for a planned development, rezoning, and minor general plan amendment, repealing any conflicting provisions and providing for severability.
Okay, now can I have the main motion?
Is this a good time if you want to discuss something?
What would you want to include in the motion?
I suppose nothing at this point. Yeah.
This is your time to ask if you wanted to continue it or whatever you want to do.
I realize that. I'm definitely for growth like this in our city, and this is definitely a win for our community in that respect. And up until a certain point on this, I was against it. But with the industrial zoning directly across the street from this project, it's not like this is an unusual request for rezoning it.
It's hard zone, yeah.
If it was residential right across the street on the other side of Old West Highway, or not industrial, there might be a difference. So,
And I have to believe that when they're building a facility to bring the units inside, I mean, there's a huge difference even at the company I work between two locations, that one has all the bays outside and one has all the bays inside. And we only have complaints about the one where they're outside. That's why we built the bigger one.
another thing is there's, the whole site's gonna be paved, so dust is not gonna be an issue like it was before. It's no longer gonna be, like Chamber brought up, the fact that, it used to be a wrecking yard with, all kinds of bad things in that respect. So, I definitely feel for the customers or for the residents. But at the same time, I think that if the company is definitely willing to continue to improve on their relations with the residents, I think they can make this happen and make it work.
Your
And
Honor.
that they can become better neighbors.
Your Honor, to answer also the lady that's already left, this is already zoned industrial. We're not making it industrial. It's already zoned this way. They're just asking that we combine all of the lots to be the same. So we're not creating a new zone or anything like that. And there is, I'm going to say something that I don't know for a fact, but all along Old West Highway, it's not all just residential. There's a lot of business and industrial that's going to be coming in, and the more we can bring in, the better for our city, from Fry's clear to Goldfield Road. So we need the business, our economy needs it, our town needs it. And as I said, we're not changing all of a sudden a residential neighborhood into an industrial site. It's already zoned that way. So that's all I want to say.
Your Honor,
Yes.
Good, I'm good.
On that note, I move that ordinance number 1535, as read by the city clerk, be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Cross,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Soller,
Yes.
Councilmember Heck,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor.
Okay. Consideration of resolution number 23-13. Kelsey again.
Mr. Mayor, this is just the related resolution to the ordinance, so it's just the same item, but it's the resolution portion of it.
Oh, okay. So this is declaring a public record document filed with the city clerk and legal descriptions and zoning conditions case for P 22-126-PZ. And there's no update, so is there anyone that wants to speak on this? It's a public hearing. Don't see anybody moving. All right, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 23-13, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk entitled Legal Descriptions and Zoning Conditions of Case Number P-22-126-PZ, authorized under Ordinance Number 1535 for a plan development, rezoning, and minor general plan amendment, repealing any conflicting provisions and providing for severability, be approved.
Second.
Second.
Moved, seconded, and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Soller,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Cross,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Heck,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. No old business, new business. Consideration of a 5-year master service and license agreement with Flock. Chief Pulley.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. Coming before you today to try to get a approval for a 5-year agreement with Flock Safety, which is going to include additional 10 cameras. It locks in a price for 5 years for a total amount of $315,500. Again, Flock Safety, Flock cameras, we have currently 15 throughout the city. These are license plate readers that have helped us solve crimes and apprehend bad guys and also help find people that need to be found. Anybody have questions?
Mayor?
Yes.
I'd just like to say, Chief, I'm really, really proud that you're really moving this department forward, and we're becoming real crime fighters, and this is going to really help your department. Thank you.
Thank you. I love being a crime fighter.
Need a big S here on your shirt?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Your Honor, I have one question for the chief.
Yes.
I know from when we first approved Flock, the contract with them, how long ago? A year ago?
Almost a year.
At the time, I don't remember how long it was, you came to us and you told us right away how many license plates had shown up that for this, that, or some other reason. This has nothing to do with this contract, but could you start supplying us maybe monthly or however often, just generically what we're getting for our money? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I can work with city manager and getting information to you to show you some of the technology, how it's benefiting us.
I mean, I think it would, not only for us, but the public also, to see if we're spending this money, we want to show what we're getting for, or what bang we're getting for our buck.
You're going to be very excited.
All right, thanks.
Okay, no other questions?
Mayor?
Can I have a motion?
Mayor?
Mayor.
Yes.
I move that the 5-year master service and license agreement with the Flock Group Incorporated in the amount of $315,500 for public safety be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Heck,
Yes.
Councilmember Cross,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Soller,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes, Your Honor.
Okay. Selection of meeting dates and times. Do we actually have to vote on not canceling, or do we just got to announce it?
No, we have to move.
I think you should vote on it.
We
Okay.
do. This is considered to our posting as to when we hold our regular meetings. So if you're going to cancel a meeting, we need to make a motion on this.
Your
Okay.
Honor.
Consider canceling the city council work session for Monday, July 3rd of 2023.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the city council work session of Monday, July 3rd be canceled.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Cross,
Yes.
Councilmember Heck,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Soller,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so no meeting on Monday, and of course, the next regular council meeting is on a holiday, so we don't have to cancel that one.
Correct.
Okay, I'd like to remind everyone to call the public is a courtesy and not required by law. It's a time for the public to express requests, communications, comments, and suggestions. Requests to speak forms must be completed and handed to the city clerk before the end of the city manager's report. All issues shall be presented in a professional manner without personal attacks. Underneath the open meeting law, council cannot engage in a discussion on the issues presented, but may respond to criticism, may direct staff to follow up with the speaker directly, or place this matter on a future agenda for council discussion. There is a 3-minute limit for the speaker, and I have 3 of them here. Linda Smith.
Good evening,
Go ahead.
Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, concerned residents. My name is Linda Smith, and I sent you an email regarding the homelessness. And
Your
it-
address, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, 455 South Delaware Drive,
Thank you.
Apache Junction. I was here last night, and I heard from the police and the mental health, and I previously lived in Tempe, and I worked a lot with the homeless there. I've recently retired, so I have the time now to work with the homeless, and we can't do this with just a committee and just the police. We need the community. The community has to come together. And since this is my first city council, I don't know how much the community is putting in, but I'm willing to step up and gather our community together, especially the churches and volunteers. There's so many people that are so angry that just want to put these people out to pasture. But these are human beings, these are souls. And I think that there's different ways that we can approach resolution. Not one thing is going to fit everybody, but just about, I can't even tell you how many people have told me they're 1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless in the city. And that breaks my heart. So we're going to have more people living in their cars, and we're going to have more people wandering the city. So I think that Christ has to be involved here, and God bless you for praying first, because we can do all things through Christ, and we can't do it on our own. So we're going to need the religious community, the believers in this community to come together. And honestly, the Lord laid this on my heart. We're going to do a work here, not through us, but through Him. and I believe that we're going to see change. And I want to work with you. I don't know if you have groups already. I will form a group. So my time is almost up. So thank you for hearing me out. And you have my information, and I'm a willing spirit. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Meek.
Good evening, Catherine Meek, 1327 South Bel Air Road in Apache Junction. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I was going to speak about community, and of course, I wanted to be contrary, but we didn't have somebody else speaking tonight, so I have to come out with independent thoughts. First off, I'm really excited about the plastics recycling and hearing more about that, because I also heard all the rumors about, well, yeah, they were just dumping the recycling in with the garbage, and it just goes straight to the landfill. And okay, I'm a refugee from the Portland area, so sorry about that. But I'm used to recycling. I had a big recycling bin that got picked up every other week. The other week was yard debris. Big, they'd be full. And we had a little 20-gallon can that usually was half empty. So getting down here and having the huge can that maybe is one bag in there twice a week, it's just kind of shocking. So I'm really thrilled about that. Community, the SROs in schools, I was hearing more things about the city of Phoenix talking about the school district rejecting SROs. And that was just really sad to hear that they were talking about that. And I know they've been rethinking that and debating it. I also know that our school district's going through a lot of turmoil. And I don't want us to miss out on applying for the grants, because it sounds like the state is willing to pay for our SROs. And I know I need to start going to school board meetings and start pushing for that there. But I just kind of wanted to mention that and kind of put it in your minds. If we can get it paid for, I would love to get more officers in schools, because that builds the community feeling with the kids. They get to know the police officers instead of the officer coming to the driving ed class and scaring everybody so they don't want to see an officer ever again. Yeah, that happened to me. As for homelessness, hunger is one of the beginning parts to homelessness, and if you can't afford to pay for food or prescription, you have to make those hard choices. It's really short point of time before you end up missing mortgage payments or rent payments, and we do need to do something to fix that. And I think there are enough people in this community that we can really make a big impact on the community as a whole if we really start working together instead of trying to pull in different directions. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Andrew.
Andre.
Andre.
We'll fix him eventually.
You'll get it right someday, Mayor. Anyway, Andre Meek, 1327 South Bel Air. Homelessness, good subject. We are really, really in bad shape, statewide, countrywide, actually, when it comes to homelessness. And we got to find a place to start. So, you know, we all, like the first speaker said, we all got to be a community about this. Everybody has to get involved. And I mean, it just, you know, we'll go home tonight and, oh, you know, we talked about it, but no, we need more than just talk. You know, we need some action on this. And I'm just hoping that you as a council will stay on top of this and explore avenues and, you know, see what we can come up with. You know, a lot of what goes on out there with the homeless, you know, you see it out in the desert, you know, on Nodak and Hackmore and all that. Just, you know, they pile in there, they destroy the area and all that. But that isn't all of them, you know. That's some of them. But that's what turns everyone against them, is, the actions of the few, just destroy the many. And so, yeah, we have to address those problems that are out there, as far as, the destruction of the desert and everything like that. But, we got to keep focus on what the problem is. And that is that, I lived in a trailer park for 20 years and they closed it. Now I'm out in the street, and that's a lot of these people. And, they're the veterans, the elderly, they're all in the same hole. They can't afford a place. And, it's almost like we need to slow down some of the conversions of these. However, and like I said last time, I says, yeah, it's the right of the owner to make some money. But, he's doing it on a lot of people's backs sometimes. And on another subject, the recycling thing, great thing. But I really wish that the cans were either a lot cheaper or free. I look down my street. I got a recycle can in front of my house, and there's one other on the other street, and that's it. And, and so these trucks are like driving a lot of miles to pick up just a little bit. We need pressure on that. Thank you.
Okay, any comments from council? Is that possible to get together with let's see, Linda?
Absolutely.
With some of the different organizations that we know of in the city?
Yes, and Chief and I are on it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, Chief will be giving her some ideas and places to
Yeah,
go.
it'd be nice to.
We need some help.
Put together a community, get-together event and get all of our minds together.
Yep.
In one big room.
It's going to take all of us. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. Yep.
All right. Well, I will close this meeting. Thank you.